What's up, guys? Welcome back to episode 5 of the Fight Club podcast. It's been a minute. I'm not gonna lie, missed you guys. So I haven't made, or there hasn't been another episode of the Fight Club podcast since episode 4, which was like the end of October, right before Max Holloway fought Ilya Taporia. And some of the reason for that is just because it's been a little hard for me to schedule with my brother to kind of make sure that, we're on the same time, we have the same times locked in. He's in California. Obviously, we both have kids, we have jobs, 3 hour difference. It's a little tough. So it seems like there's just always something going on. So we did have 311 this last weekend in Southern California. And I figured might as well make a video. It's Wednesday right now. Wanted to make a video and hopefully get this all situated, edited, and put out by Saturday. And yeah, so I just wanted to get to it. First of all, I want to start off with saying, obviously prayers go out to everybody who was involved or everyone who had, something, affected, that were affected by the fires in Los Angeles. That it completely sucks. I mean, that was pretty crazy. And I just can't imagine going through something like that. So, prayers go out to everybody. But let's talk about some fighting, right? Let's trying to see if we can, you know, get our mind towards something a little bit more positive, right? So we had a 311 in California at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Obviously, there was a little bit up in the air if they were going to have it or not. Dana's been very, consistent with the fact that he said, "I'm going to do it here." They did have Las Vegas as a backup just in case, but they ended up having it there. There was obviously the fallout with um, Arman Sarukian getting hurt, which, from what I read and what I hear, it was his lower back or his back just having to do with a weight cut. So you have Moicano stepping up to fight Islam, and then they kind of swept Dariush to the side. He did get his show money and his win money, which is pretty fantastic. At least that he got that. Luke Thomas brought up something pretty interesting. I thought it was interesting, and it's kind of, I guess, a way that people do when they say stuff about pay, is they usually say that there's show money and win money, right? And then obviously there's performance bonuses and whatnot. But the show money isn't really show money. It isn't just like to show up and weigh in. The show money is to complete your portion of the show, right? So like a lot of people are like, well, I cut and I did all this, right? That's my show money. I showed up. Well, that's not what it means, right? It means that you completed your fight. You completed your part of the grand show, not just showing up. So anyway, yeah, he got that, which is pretty fantastic. And then you had Moicano move up, which was, I was super excited to watch Arman versus Islam, because I thought that was going to be a dope fight. I was pretty interested. I mean, I was really interested. I thought it was a fantastic card altogether, especially a fantastic card to start off the year. Now, this wasn't the first card of the year. Obviously, the week before there was a fight night, right, with Mackenzie Dern and Amanda Ribas. I didn't like the fights. I didn't really like any of the fights. A lot of people were saying it was a fantastic card. I think maybe it's just the Apex. I'm not a huge fan of the Apex. There are certain fights that sometimes happen in the Apex that kind of catch me. I'm like, oh, that's dope. It's cool that I can hear the thudding of the gloves and everything. Um, but I just didn't get that with this last card, so which is fine. So I ended up renting 311, right? And so I was really excited about it. It was a solid card from the bottom up. Now every time we watch fights, like my wife, me, and my son, we do, like, we write down who we're gonna pick, and we usually just do the main card, or if, for instance, 300, we did the whole fights, right? Because everybody was known and was real big. So we started off at the last fight at the prelims, which was Peyton Talbot's fight. We started from there, and then we picked all the way up. Not my best night, I'll be honest with you. Not my best night in choosing fights. My son was the same. My wife got every single run right. Every single pick right she got right, which is dope. So good for her. Except for actually one of them. So, and that was my fault, because she didn't know, and I just kind of pushed her in a direction which I thought it was going to go, and it didn't. I was wrong, so she shouldn't have listened to me. But other than that, the main card, she got every single one right. So anyway, so we picked, starting from the Peyton Talbot fight with uh, Raoni Barcelos, right? Raoni Barcelos is obviously he is, as you can say, like a journeyman. He's been there for a long time. Peyton Talbot's coming up. He has a lot of hype behind him. So I thought Peyton was going to cut through him. I thought he was going to slice through him like butter, and it didn't. That's not how it happened. I think that Barcelos came out super fast, aggressive, and just really overwhelmed him. And it just kind of shows that he's 23 years old. Talbot is, right? It just shows that there's a big difference in experience, intensity. Maybe there was a little bit of arrogance for Talbot, which I could see, right? And so this might have been a wake up call, which I hope it was. I mean, again, he's 23, so I don't think he didn't get hurt. He didn't get gassed. He didn't take a lot of damage. He just was overwhelmed and he essentially underperformed, I feel like. But at least he knows now where his weaknesses are and what he needs to work on, and he has a long time. I mean, if he fights until he's 38 years old, that's 14 more years of fighting. That's a long time, man. He can fight for 10 more years and be 34 and retire. That's that's solid, man. I think that people typically they'll hit their prime about 33 to 35. So he's got 9, 10 years, to get there, and he seems good. He's an interesting dude. I will say that, but I like to watch him fight. Chill. So I picked him. He obviously lost unanimous decision, which is fine. And then that's the one where my wife, I said, "Oh, you should definitely pick this guy because he's fantastic. He has this hype and he's dope and all this." And so she picked him. Now, I don't know if she was going to pick Barcelos, but she ended up just picking this guy, and he lost. But moving on to the main card, started off the main card. Actually, first, let me get a sip of this coffee. Look, it says, "Good morning, lovely." It's my wife's cup, by the way. Mm, 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 mm. Anyway, so let's start off with Kevin Holland versus RDR, right? So, Kevin Holland sometimes throws me for a loop because I always think that he can do really, really, really well if he just locked it in. He just seems like he's super like all over the place. He's trying to talk a lot. It's goofy. It's almost like he's not taking it serious. And maybe other people can agree or disagree, but it just feels like he's not taking it serious. So it feels like if he were to take it serious, he could be really, really, really good, right? Because he has decent jujitsu. He has, obviously it's good power. I mean, he's very long. He'll get in there and scrap with you. But this one was kind of a walk to the park with RDR, right? He just went ahead and just did what he does, and you know, submitted him. So there's not really much I could say about that. I don't know. Last time I know Kevin Holland when he fought, I think he had broken a rib or separated a rib. So this was his first fight after that. And yeah, it didn't go in his favor, but we'll see. He will never. This is my opinion, and mind you, I'm not a professional by any means. He will never be a champion. He will never fight for a championship, right? But he's going to be one of those guys that are just like, it's going to be a fun fight. It's going to be the fight that gets you in, to move up to the next kind of level or next tier of the rankings. But that's what he's going to be, which is fine. It is what it is, right? Obviously, he's probably not happy with what I said, but ultimately that is kind of the truth, right? So moving on from there, we got Almeida versus Spivak. I picked Spivak. I was kind of trying to go for some of the underdogs too here and there, right? And I thought Spivak was going to be able to pull it off. I believe this was their second fight. But my son picked Spivak as well. My wife picked Almeida, and Almeida pulled out the win for a KO. Right, so it is what it is. That was a good fight. I like watching heavyweights fight when they crack each other really hard. I think it's good. I like knockouts, obviously, like most people do, especially when you're talking about heavyweights. That's what you want to see. You want to see toe to toe. You want to see swinging for the fences. You want to see danger. You want to see worry. It's like every movement is critical. Like there's so much power, right? And even, I don't know, maybe even the weakest heavyweight hits hard, dude. It's crazy. So anyway, it was a fun fight. I mean, obviously, let's see, Spivak was a plus 370. I picked him, but yeah, Almeida was a negative 485. Negative 485. He fought like it, so good for him. Now I was really excited for this third fight. Actually, now when Arman switched and when Moicano was fighting, this became the fight I was most eager to watch, and that was Yuri versus Jamal Hill. I hate Jamal Hill, right? And let me start off by saying that I hate Jamal Hill. I'm not a fan of Jamal Hill. I didn't know a lot about him before he fought Alex. I did see him here and there, but it's just something about him that I see. I don't know, when he's gonna fight, it just seems like he has a little bit of a belly. It almost seems like he doesn't take it serious. But you know, and it's kind of just the way that he went about the KO loss to Alex. Alex, he kind of had a lot of reasons and excuses, it seemed like, and then he went to the gym and he like confronted Alex. Alex said, "Put the gloves on." He said, "Nah, I'm not gonna do that. I don't fight for free." And it's like, yes, people are saying, okay, yeah, you shouldn't fight for free if you're a prize fighter, yes, but you also shouldn't go up to somebody unless you're going to actually do something and you're a trained fighter, right? You're just doing it for show, essentially. So, I was on the hating wagon for Jamal Hill for this fight. I like Yuri. I thought Yuri's, he's an interesting dude, especially now. Well, especially with before this fight, he obviously was talking about that he shaved his head to show support to a friend who had cancer. He flew her out. She was there with him. So I thought that was pretty cool, and it was kind of like, it was I don't know. He's like rebranding in a sense, right? Because obviously he also said in the post-fight conference he was working on keeping his hands up, which I did see, and people were making fun of him because he was walking like this, kind of before the fight. But I think he was just trying to mentally keep his hands up, right? And it was a good fight. I thought it was a good fight. It was back and forth. Jamal Hill, stayed in there. I liked it. I thought that was my favorite fight of the whole night, to be honest with you. Obviously, I was happy that Jamal got KO'd, but I think after, I don't know. This is interesting, but I think after the fight had more effect on me about Jamal than during the fight. After the fight, just seeing how he was so disappointed, right? He like broke down when he walked backstage. He broke down, like he went down to his knees, like, and you can say this or that about somebody, but I can't imagine you putting in 100% or 1,000,000% of your effort and time and energy, and then that happens to you in front of everybody. It's probably crazy to deal with, right? But I also saw a clip that they were at the bar and Yuri went and he bought him a drink, and like Jamal wasn't a jerk to him. He wasn't an asshole. Like they sat there and they drank whatever drink it was. So I think I gained a lot more respect for Jamal and the fact that he didn't have excuses post fight. It was just it just was what it was. So I thought that was interesting. But it kind of got me more on the Jamal Hill towards being indifferent about him, right? Which is fine. I still want to see him. You know what? I don't think that he'll get to Alex again. I think it'll be a mission if he does, because by the time he gets to maybe earning that spot, I don't even know if Alex is going to be there still. But I still want to see Alex take him out again, just because I want to, and I feel like I need to. Where does Yuri go after this? I don't know. I don't know. I think it depends on how everything works above them, right? With Ankalaev gonna fight Alex, and just kind of seeing how that works itself out. And yeah, so we'll see. Maybe you have somebody, I've heard around that, somebody from shit, I can't remember right now. Maybe Robert Whitaker is going to move up to light heavyweight because he's kind of a bigger dude. So that might be an interesting fight, right? It might be like an entry fight for Robert Whitaker to move up and fight someone like that, because Yuri is a smaller light heavyweight. Who he even talked about moving down and cutting down weight to go to to middleweight, which I don't think he'll do. But obviously, it just shows he's smaller. And he did say also that in this one for this fight, he started working more on weightlifting to get stronger, which I think you can tell. He seemed pretty solid. But yeah, it was a good fight. It was my favorite fight of the night, to be honest with you. Okay, moving on to the co-main event, you had Merab versus Umar. I went into this. I love the Dagestani fighters, to be honest with you. If he's associated with Khabib, I'm like automatically, and I'm sorry, I'm a human. I'm automatically like prone to like this person and go for this person, right? You can say whatever you want about Khabib, that he didn't really fight a lot of top ranked people, and it just was a different time, and yeah, it is what it is. That's probably true to a certain degree, but it still doesn't change the fact that he was dope. He was really, really good, man. Really good. And these fighters that are coming out of his camp are solid. So I was going for Umar, right? And Umar was the favorite. I think it was negative 258 to plus 210 going for Umar. And Merab was obviously that he's champion. he was a champion before the fight, and he was the underdog. So I don't like Marab. I don't like the little antics and videos that he does. But I think I have a tendency now. I realize after these fights that I'll pick the fights based off of whether I like the person or not. So it's like more of a emotional pick. But I think going forward, I'm really gonna try to pick just based off of the skills, right? I do sometimes say, I would rather this guy win, but I think this guy's just a better fighter altogether. Sometimes I just don't like the fighter so much where I just can't bring myself to say I want this guy to win, and Marab's one of those guys. So, but you know what? He did work, man. I can't lie, can't lie. He did work. He got the takedown record. He just pushed that pace. Obviously, the first two rounds, I think everyone can agree the first two rounds were Umar's rounds. The last three were Marab's rounds. That's typically what I think you'll see when you have somebody who's a cardio machine, is they'll start kicking it up the third, fourth, fifth. Um, Now the issue is also that Marab doesn't knock people out. He doesn't submit people. He just outworks people, and you know, and he doesn't win by anything but submission or but decisions, right? So that's kind of a knock on him. As kind of a negative on him, is that people could say it's hard when you start dealing with people and you start talking about fighters, and if they're like pound for pound best fighters, if they're the best bantamweight you've ever seen, all this stuff, when you're talking about people who like they're winning a lot, but they're all decisions, right? He's a cardio machine and a decision machine. He's both, right? But then you have other people like Alex who are just knocking folks out, just knocking people out, right? When you have like Islam who's just choking people out, Darce choke, just bam, 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 right? Who's subbing and doesn't even have to knock out. He's subbing jujitsu black belts, right? That's crazy. But anyway, it was a good fight. Good on Marab. He got after it. I thought it was super interesting, and maybe if you guys agree with me, that on the post-fight conference, he was still dressed in all his stuff. He had his gloves on and he had everything on, which is really, I don't know, weird. I don't think I've ever seen that or ever remember that. But anyway, so yeah, so that kind of went the way that you thought it was going to go. Um, we I'm trying to put the words together here. We had a negative 1200 to a plus 750 underdog going for Islam, and he fought the way that he was supposed to fight. I mean, he got after it, right? He got after it. He did what he was supposed to do, and yeah. So he submitted him with a Darce. Luke Thomas says it's a shorthanded Darce, which I guess isn't back here. It's in the lower forearm part. And he just put work on it, man. I mean, I think he didn't make it past 4 minutes and 5 seconds. So, I mean, there were 55 seconds left on the clock, and he choked. People were complaining that he choked. He tapped fast and all that, but fact of the matter is that he said he knew he's obviously jiu-jitsu black belt, so he said that he knew that it was tight and there was no getting out of it. Now you could argue and say he should have just gone to sleep and whatever, but it is what it is, man. It's their lives and they make those choices, and if they're gonna tap because they feel like they can't get out of it otherwise, let them do it, right? So that was a fight. Again, I thought it was a fantastic card. I was really, happy. Sometimes, I mean, you think about you're going to spend $80 to rent a fight. Like you want fights, right? You don't want decisions all the way through. And so, yeah, I think it was worth it. I liked it. It was fun. I'm ready for, 2025 to have some really good fights. My goal for this year, and I talked to Raul about this, my goal for this year is to go to one fight, right? And I'm in Indiana. He's in California, so it's kind of hard to find a place that makes sense. I don't know if it's something where, and I don't want to break the bank either. So I can go to Vegas and watch a fight, but it's expensive, right? So I don't know, something more closer to Colorado, or even I know that Dana was talking at the end of last year saying that he was going to try to hit up Chicago this year, which is like 3 hours from me. So that's fantastic. It's a flight for him regardless. But if there could be something in Chicago or Ohio, or I know sometimes they do Nashville, those are the kind of spots that I want to go to. But I also want to watch good fights, like solid ass fights. So that's the goal for this year. I would love to go and also make like a vlog about it, and then I could just post this on the channel, and for the millions of people who watch this, and everyone could be entertained by it, right? But that's kind of that's a goal for the year. Also, like a New Year's resolution, what I wanted to do is I typically watch only UFC events, and I want to start watching more things. I want to start watching one. I'm kind of interested with this GFL, with the Global Fight League, to see how that goes. I know it's like different teams, and it's like you get points for winning, draws, submissions, knockouts, all this stuff. So it's interesting. I'm gonna kind of keep an eye on it and see what's up. I know you're going to have a lot of older fighters, a lot of people who are retired from UFC or cut or whatever, and I think it's just interesting. So, you know, um, yeah, that's kind of a resolution that I have for myself. But for the cards coming up, it looks like February 1st we have Adesanya and Imavov, right? So we'll talk more about that as we get closer. I want to, hopefully we can do a pod with Raul maybe next week sometime so we can start talking about the fights that are coming up. Because after that we have Australia's going to be DDP against Strickland, which I'm excited to see that one as well. So those are coming up. But you also have, let me see, on that Izzy fight card, you also have the Bullet's gonna fight. He's gonna fight Michael Venom Page, and then you have Pavlovich gonna fight Rosenstruck, which is gonna be someone's getting knocked out for sure. You know, said Nurmagomedov, and then what's that, Vinicius Oliveira. So it's gonna be a solid fight. I mean, it's gonna be pretty dope. So I'm excited for those fights as well. And then obviously there was some fight news that was announced, and you have looks like UFC 313. I believe this is gonna be, it's at T-Mobile Arena, March 8th. It's gonna be Alex versus Ankalaev. So that's gonna be a dope fight. This is the challenge, right? This is the challenge that everybody has said about Alex. Can you beat Ankalaev, right? Ankalaev is, it's kind of a weird situation because Ankalaev, he's getting his wins by stand up, right? But he can wrestle, and so this is the challenge. Can Alex stand up? We think that Alex is going to have a better stand up, obviously, but can he stop the threat of the takedown and just KO him, right? I think he can, right? And I hope he does because I'm a huge Alex fan, so I would love to see that, right? So that's going to happen. Um, and I guess the next biggest thing on that same card is just engaging Dan Hooker. Ooh, that's going to be a good fight. That's going to be a solid, solid, solid fight. Right now, it's a negative 155 for Justin, plus 130 Dan Hooker. This is going to be all violence. All violence. There's going to be blood all over that damn mat for sure. But I'm super excited for this fight. Like, I'm incredibly excited for this fight. Also, another thing that I heard, this is rumor, I don't know if it's true or not, but I also heard that they were talking about, shoot, why am I missing it now? Damn it. They're talking about Max Holloway. Let me see. I think Max Holloway versus Dustin um, for BMF championship. Let me see. I'm gonna make sure I don't lie to you guys. Rumors. Let's see. Oh, nope, my bad. I fucked up. My bad. It's Max Holloway, Charles Oliveira in Florida, BMF title. So that's a rumor. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but that's fantastic. There's two people that I like, I'm biggest fans of in the whole UFC, and one is Charles Oliveira, and the other one is Max Holloway. The Max one was an issue for me when he fought Ilya because of the fact that I love Max so much. And I talked about this on the other pod. Is I like him so much. I don't even want him to fight because I don't even want the possibility of him losing, and it's tough, right? You want to. I only want to watch him if he's just winning, right? Which isn't fair, and that's not a fight game. I get it. I do think the 145 cut was tough. I thought, and I was mistaken, I thought that when he was 155, he looked fantastic against Justin. Um, but then I thought, okay, when he cuts down, he'll still carry some of that power. I guess what I didn't take into consideration, which is an obvious thing, is that that means that he's maybe stronger and bigger. He has that bigger frame, but now he has to cut even more. And that 145 cut was already an issue for him to start off with. So, people were talking about, oh, Ilya is the best and pound for pound and all this. I don't agree with that because I think that people are making that assumption based off of the Volkanovski fights and the Max fights. Now, I think that the Volkanovski fight, that was him coming back after. being knocked out by Ilya, or I'm sorry, knocked out by Islam like 3 months before, head kick knocked out. So I don't think that was he was in the right frame of mind, and that's when he was going through some mental issues, right? And then fighting Max, who's a deteriorated, not deteriorated, but I mean, he has cut so much that he's not his power, endurance, chin deteriorated because of the cut, right? I would love to see Ilya move up to 155 and fight Max. I want to see that fight. I want to see Max rock his ass. That's what I want to see. Now, with my luck, Max gets knocked the hell out too, and so sometimes I don't even want to say nothing. But watching Max against Charles, that would be sick. I would love that. I hear, at least I've seen rumors that it says it's going to be in Florida. Florida, it's far from me, but it's not. I'm in Indiana, so that might be something that I can kind of work with. I don't know. It depends. Again, it's not just like the ticket to go. It's the flight. It's the car. It's the hotel. It's the food. It's like a lot of stuff. So it's kind of this big thing, and I'm not maybe in the position to be throwing money like that out just to do it, right? But um, that's the goal. The goal is I want to go this year to something, right? And I would like it to be at least a decent fight, like something I want to go watch, not just something I'm just gonna watch because it's close. If that's the case, I just won't go watch one. Um, but anyway, so that's what I have for you guys today. It was a little bit of a short one. Again, we're gonna try to work with Rahul, and I'm gonna try to see if we can figure it out where both of us can be on. It's just a bit of a challenge. Like I said, we all have lives, we all have things. If you notice, I'm also not in my room, I'm in my son's room because we're doing laundry in my room and it's gonna be too loud. And I wanted to make sure that I got this knocked out. So we're in my son's room. Obviously, we have Matchbox cars behind me, have some license plates and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's episode 5 for the Fight Club podcast. I appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys on the next one. And also, I'm gonna try, you know what? I'm not gonna try. I'm gonna get this video out by Saturday. All right. So stay tuned, please. Like, subscribe. Also, I was gonna tell you guys that if you guys want to message us or comment on us, I'm going to go ahead and link also our email. And you can reach out to the email and ask questions or talk shit or whatever you want to do. You know what else actually I would like to do is I'd like to somehow get connected with another podcast and do like some sort of a dual podcast or something where I can be on somebody else's podcast when it comes to MMA, because I think that'd be super fun. So that's like more like a dream, right? That's like a dream thing. So there's, I got a lot of things for the new year that I've been trying to do, and yeah. So it's Wednesday, the 22nd. We just had, like I said, 311. We don't have any UFC until February 1st, so we have a couple weeks. But let's get after it. Let's do the damn thing. I will see you guys next video.